Despite how much I love the food festival arc and Kurumi's introduction as a whole, I never got around to reviewing episode 2, but I figured, sure, let's combine it with episode 3, because there's just a bit more to talk about. Episode 2 combines the two-part chapter that is the food festival in the manga into one cohesive episode just to save time, and they do have to cut at least one scene with Karne and a little bit of dialogue with the other girls, but overall, I think it works pretty well. They were still able to keep all of the references and jokes I loved from the original, like the champion being a villain that's straight out of One Piece, and an original joke because for one reason or another they chose to change the design of the champion. I also like that we got a bit more of a look at the gorilla group, fun rival characters, and I never get tired of just how lovey-dovey the leader is with her boyfriend. My favorite joke probably goes to Nano staying in the game as long as she did, eating sushi because she wasn't actually chewing it. She just swallowed it whole. And we got another PSA joke about how you should not do this. She's just very weird, so she got away with it. Also, shout out to just how the anime made Rintaro getting her down, thanks to her fear of heights, a bit more cute than it was by really showing how tightly she's gripping on him because she's safe. Even with Kutsuri and Karne's scene getting cut in a fourth wall joke for the sake of time, it does a great job of reminding you of every single one of the girls' quirks that you loved back in the first season. And Kurumi, being the main focus of the arc, has to learn to trust them if she wants to win. Yes, Hahari's affection for Kurumi, since she's the youngest member of the group, can get a little out of control, but I like how it's a funny parallel to Karne and Hakari because they are actually best friends who fell in love, and they're just always at each other's throats, while it's almost the exact opposite of these two. Like that little scene where Kurumi's actually enjoying herself, and then she gets embarrassed because Hakari is watching the entire time and grinning ear to ear. They also found a way to squeeze in one of the pages from the point chapter of the volume in this episode where Kurumi is having a hard time looking at certain foods without thinking of wanting to kiss her boyfriend now. Speaking of Hahari, episode 3 starts off by adapting a somewhat controversial gimmick chapter. The cast turns into babies and honestly elevates the manga by really showing how much she loves her daughter. If you couldn't guess, Hakari really isn't that happy with the way her mother has been acting since she started dating her boyfriend too and hang out with the other girls. The way Hakari always imagined her mother is very different from how she acts when she's around Rintaro and the other girls. And while she knew that she just has a weakness for anything cute, it's never been this bad since all this happened. It really shows how far she's changed in such little time because, reminder, Hahari was the main villain of the first season, and then within the span of one episode, she joins the main cast, and now, after the second season's out, she's resorted to being like this. And that's also her mother, and she's just embarrassing herself in front of her friends. The baby gimmick in question only happens because Kusuri is actually able to read the room and tries to find a way to lighten the mood, but she's a bit of an airhead and forgets that dogs normally play fetch with whatever comes their way, not cats, and just drops the baby potion, which turns everyone except for Rintaro and Hakari into children. I get why some people don't like these baby chapters, but it really is actually kind of cute seeing each of the cast still have their gimmicks while they're kids. And the main talking stick, of course, is the moment where Karne and Kusuri start fighting over Hakari, and Hahari, as a baby, starts climbing her to the point where Hakari starts to get so stressed she's screams at them. And just when it starts to get too much, her mother, still as a baby, starts to pet her, letting her know it's all going to be okay. Then we kind of shift the mood as Rintaro starts to hurt himself just to entertain everyone. The reason I put this over the manga in particular is because the anime adds an original scene, both in the beginning and the end of part 1. Rintaro remembers his first meeting with Haruhi, where she told him just how much Hikari meant to her growing up. As a single parent at the age of 13, where she lost the man she loved. And despite the fact that the hole in her heart was never filled, every moment, every minute, every heartbeat, she found herself finding new ways to really express how much she loved her daughter, describing her as her perfect sweet little angel. And we see this through a original flashback where Haruhi is shown as this cold businesswoman like she was in the first season when she was the main villain. But the very second she hears her daughter speak, her entire mood changes and she just gives her the biggest smile and she has all of her attention. Then we get to part 2, the moment we've all been waiting for, the proper introduction of Mei, or Meido, Hikari and Haruhi's top maid. Mei is described as the perfect maid who has the most beautiful eyes Haruhi has ever seen, and she follows orders to an absolute T, to the point where it gets very disturbing very fast. Mei does everything with her eyes closed to keep up her perfect smile whenever her mistress is in the room, but when she's asked to stop smiling so everyone can see what her beautiful rainbow eyes look like, she can't do it because she's been smiling so much, and her face muscles are just frozen. Everyone tries their own little trick to try and startle her eyes for a few seconds. Shizuka having the cutest attempt by just shouting boo, and since no one saw it coming, they weren't really scared because it's Shizuka, and she embarrasses herself. Nano tries to fake stab her, thinking the shock will scare her into opening her eyes, which just terrifies everyone, especially Shizuka. And then we get to the grand finale where Rintaro tells her a joke, thinking instead of getting her to open her eyes through fear, making her relax could do the trick. And then we get to the plot twist of the episode. Mai is the secret girlfriend, similar to Haruhi in Season 1, which is why there is a random shot in the opening where there's a character card and a pot of tea with no one serving it, because they didn't want anyone to know. Which is also why Mai isn't really in any of the marketing, because while manga fans like myself knew this, a lot of anime fans didn't, and they didn't want to even hint at it because of this twist. And it's really funny to me when I saw it the first time because I didn't see it coming, and it's so sudden when it happens here in the anime, and it's done a bit better because we didn't know what was going to happen if you didn't read the manga. The episode ends with them teasing the date between Mai and Rintaro because she doesn't actually want to date him because she thinks it would be wrong to fall in love with the same man her mistress is currently dating. And before Rintaro can even process that he's been rejected for the 102nd time, Haruhi chimes in telling her to be honest with her feelings, and she does a complete 180 saying that she will go out with him on a date. And Rintaro is even more confused. Just can't wait to see more. That's all. I'm Flash. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.